A message to Iran on Truth Social saying Iran must stop the sending of these supplies immediately. Let the Houthis fight it out for themselves. They will be completely annihilated. The warning comes ahead of a White House meeting with Israel over Iran's nuclear program early next week. Fox News senior strategic analyst, retired four-star General Jack Keane. Remember, the president sent a letter to the Grand Ayatollah, said you have 2 months to comply or else all bets are off. Where do you think Iran, how do you think Iran is digesting these messages from the Trump administration?
Well, certainly, I think based on the evidence that, the first administration that they dealt with, they know they're serious. That's number one. Listen, Iran is so much back on their heels, never have been in this place in 44 years. I mean, they're completely defenseless at home in terms of an attack by Israel, with the United States cooperating. They know that. They've lost their strategic platform in Syria, and their proxies, except for the Houthis, have been decimated, and now the Houthis, are on the path to destruction as well. The one thing they have left that they're really holding on to and want to hold on to is their nuclear enterprise development. They know if they acquire a nuclear weapon, it guarantees the preservation of the regime in their minds. And that's why they've always wanted this weapon to begin with. So I think they're going to do everything they can to delay the inevitable, which was likely we're on a path to Israel-led U.S.-supported strike to take down their nuclear enterprise as much as possible.
Do we do
coercive diplomacy first? That's what the president is doing. And then a follow-on military operation if they don't comply.
Immediately they said, how dare you give us an ultimatum? And now they said we are writing a letter back to Trump after his initial letter. How significant was last weekend's hit on the Houthis? We've heard Israel hit them. We've hit them before. Was anything different about last week?
Well, I think what has really happened is the scale and magnitude. I mean, there's been like 89, 90-plus sorties run against the Houthis. We've never done anything like that, since they began attacking shipping in the Red Sea on October the 19th. So this is the most consequential attack for sure. We're challenged because the Houthis have been under air campaign from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the UAE for almost 7 years. And a lot of what they do is underground. They proved that they could sustain significant attacks against them during those 7 years. We don't have anybody on the ground, so the targets are challenging. That is why the president's warning to Iran is so significant. He's telling you, I'm going to hold you accountable if you continue to support these Houthis. And the CENTCOM commander, the same one that recommended to Biden over 100 targets inside of Iran, military targets only, to shut down support for the Houthis and their other proxies, the Biden administration rejected it. Certainly the Trump administration has those targets, and they have a commander that's willing to obviously shoot them, and the Secretary of Defense that feels the same way about it. So he's got that quiver ready to use, that arrow in his quiver ready to use. And coercive diplomacy being used here as well. Get Iran's attention, get them to stop. Right. If they don't do it, we're going to have to force them.
Another round of talks, Russia and Saudi Arabia with the U.S. after last week's phone call. Right now, they said, OK, we won't hit each other's energy. You just mentioned to me before they still hit energy, and they just had a huge drone attack in Odessa last night. What do you expect to happen? If you're the U.S., what do you tell Russia to do next, or what do you try to get out of them next?
Well, first of all, let's admit that we do have a defined peace process taking place. I mean, there's talks with the Russians and the negotiating team next week. There'll be talks with the Ukrainians and the negotiating team, separate rooms to be sure, both sides putting their terms and conditions on the table, and the negotiating teams will try to resolve those differences. That is a peace process. But I think there's also genuine skepticism on the part of the United States. How serious is Russia? I mean, they talk nice to the president, certainly, but they play hard in these negotiations, whether they're willing to compromise or not. I think by the end of this week, we'll have a pretty good feel if Russia is willing to move the ball, one, to a ceasefire. Maybe the next step is a moratorium on operations in the Black Sea, and then eventually the 30-day ceasefire that Ukraine has already been willing to sign up for. Russia is not there yet. That would be step one. the fact that President Trump is still wanting to do the mineral deal with Ukraine is a good move, because that strengthens a strategic generational relationship with Ukraine that Russia does not want the United States to do whatsoever. And this gives us additional leverage in these peace talks.
All right, General, we'll continue to look at the Institute for the Study of War to find out all the hot spots, which you also run on a daily basis. Thanks so much, General. Great to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
You too. And
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.